Welcome everyone to this week in Svelte. Sorry, I will be here in a minute. I am kind of struggling today, and you will notice why. Uh, Let me see. Everything should be okay now. Okay. I hope can you see me? You can see me. And the reason why I'm struggling is because, last week, I took inspiration from Stanislav last week. Oh, I think now I bonked it again. Okay, now you should see me. Sorry, I took inspiration uh, from Stanislav last week, and so now I am out in the wild, and this means that I don't have a secondary screen, and so I'm using my phone as a secondary screen, but it's kind of struggling. So welcome everyone. This is episode 71 of This Week in Svelte, and today we have actually two community showcases, which is kind of cool. It's from the same guy, so it's a very proficient guy, but yeah, it's very cool, and I can't wait to show you. So let's jump right into it with the changelog. Let's start with 5 days ago, where we have next y93. There are some new errors, I guess, from when using render to render the default slotted content, reset hydrate node after hydrate. These are mostly technical details. And yeah, so I think this was specifically added because Astro is working on the Svelte 5 integration, and that's why they also needed create row snippet, and this was something missing for them, but now it's there. So, and by the way, I also saw Zeu talk about this, like the latest version of Svelte work with Astro, so Svelte 5. So if you want to use Svelte 5 in Astro, you can actually do it pretty easily now. Correctly set file name on HMR wrappers. This is just to get you better errors. This was fixing some errors on hydrating the head. Um, this is also interesting because I think we can open the details here, but basically, like create row snippet. As we said, if you return something from the render, it should be a single HTML element. And this is important because it's also true if you add, I don't know, comments, or if you add hydration markings and stuff like that. You should literally return at least a single wrapper, a single HTML element. So inside that HTML element, you can put whatever you want, but outside, you should only have one single element, and now we have a warning for it. So what else there is? Properly update store values, remove runtime validation of component snippets, rely on type instead. This is also something interesting. Like there was some, I think there was some false positive about some warning for validation of component and snippets. So the runtime validation is actually now like there's no more runtime validation. But the best part is that like you still get validation using types, which is good. There's also some state.snapshot that now correctly clones data object. Dynamic event delegation for stateful call expression. So this is basically if you are using some higher order function to generate your I can show. Maybe I can. It's easier to show. Let's say that you are doing something like this, where sorry, something like this. I don't know. You have a state, and this state has a function that return. I don't know. Like it has a name and return. Uh, yeah, I have to figure out. Basically, let's say you have this handler. Oh, it's not exactly like this. Sorry. Uh, basically you want a function that return a function, and this function is the actual event listener. So let's say alert hi name. I need to use this name, right? So this is basically uh, higher order function, right? It's a higher order function, so I can do hof, and I can say Paolo, and this is count that is not needed anymore, and I can do click. So when I do these, basically I'm setting this function to the return as the event listener for this on click. So when I click, he says hi Paolo, and if I have another button and I say I reach and I click, this says hi reach. But let's say that you want these to be dynamic, which is it's kind of a mind-bending thing, but it's something that you could in theory do. So you can have a button here that change this thing. You can do on click is equal to this, and now my higher order function is actually a function that takes a name and return a function that says alert by name, right? So the expectation is that if I click here, it says hi Paolo. If I click change and I click again, it should say bye Paolo, and it's saying bye Paolo now. Before there was a bug, and so it was fixed. So now you can actually do stuff like this. Correctly set anchor inside HMR block, which is also cool. Exclude bindings from reactive state validation. Remove internal binding expression mechanism. This is completely internal. And then we have a big one: add missing iteration mismatch call site. Apply dynamic event fixes to on directive. Ensure directive runs in sequential order. This is something that before was a breaking change from Svelte 4, if I remember correctly, but now they decided to move it. So basically now, if you put uh, a use directive and then an event listener, the listener that you register inside the action will actually be in the order of addition. So you do use and then on, the order matters again. Um, Tweak element invalid self-closing tag to exclude namespace. This I think it was to fix to fix this, which should be basically for enhanced image. So when you are there is this very cool package still built by the Svelte kit actually maintainers that allow you to have like an enhanced image. It's a preprocessor, and basically it will provide you with Vit tools to have better image handling, basically. So you just use enhanced image just like if it was a normal image, and under the hood, the preprocessor will split that into a picture element, which is better for accessibility and stuff like that. So there was this breaking change, which is avoid flashing queued update on mount slash hydrate, but I'm pretty sure that this was actually reverted later. We can actually take a look at it. Oh no, this is actually, oh, it's a new one. Yeah, I think, yeah, this was the old one. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, so there is this other one. I don't understand. Yeah, okay. Okay, that's a different one. Okay, so because there was one that was actually reverted, but now this is actually the definite one. So uh, I think now this fixes everything, and I actually need to look better into it to understand what it does. And also, this is a nice addition. Allow global in more places. So as you can see now, basically, if you take a look at, yeah, there is this, like, we already have these global things that you can nest, so that basically everything that's nested inside will become global. And now it's basically in more there, you can use this global in more places. So let me actually see, I think I can open this. Yeah. Yeah, there are too many changes. I will make sure to, we can do a specific thing about this, because I think this was merged really like not that many time ago. So next week we will do an episode on this. I decided, because I think it's something nice to talk about. So yeah. Oh, yeah. This is, I think that's the changelog for today. And by the way, we reach next 199. We are getting closer to 200, which is nice. So now I will actually remove my screen, if I can, because now it's time for our showcase for the day. So I will actually add our guest, which is Mohammed. Hi, Mohammed.
Hello, how are you doing, Paolo?
I'm doing fine, thanks.
So
Like,
today I would like to show you the a Vite plugin that I made for SvelteKit, which will output the server logs to the browser console. So it's available on GitHub. So and we can try it locally. So let me open localhost and open the browser console. Uh, as you can see, these are server logs. Actually, we can find them in the server file. As you can see, I'm logging the index.server.ts, and it's presented here. It also supports login objects, as you can see, and it colors the info and warnings and so on. I can even trigger an error. As you can see, it's displayed in red. Uh, okay. Uh, it's it also let me test the form action. So as you can see, it outputs the log here, action tests, for example. We can see it here. I can also trigger an error like this. The plugin has one single option for now. First, this is how you import it. It's pretty straightforward. And it supports one single option for now, which is to choose whether to log the info on the server console or just solely on the browser console. The the goal is to avoid flooding the server console if you have large objects that you're logging. So I can go here, put this to false, and now if I go back, so as you can see, we see the log here, but not on the server console. Of course, it only removes the console.log statements, doesn't remove the errors. So you can see if any error takes place. Also, what I will try to do is provide the file and the line numbers and make them clickable. I will try to find a way to do that, and also improve the serialization. So if anyone would like to contribute, feel free. Project is available on GitHub. So it only works on dev mode, of course, so it doesn't affect your production application. And the credit goes to Turbo Console, which gave me much of the code and the ideas. So I would like to thank them. That's it for the Vite plugin. And I would like to show you another project that I worked on, which is a plugin for WebStorm, basically. And it works on other JetBrains products. I personally use PHP Storm, so the plugin is VirtualKit. It renames or changes the displayed name of SvelteKit files, make it easier to navigate and find files in the project. Let me show you example. For example, it renames the page.svelte file to index.svelte when it's right under routes, and renames it to about.svelte when it's the about route, and so on. It also folds in the files and tucks them under the page.svelte file. So the view is cleaner. It also renames the tabs and so on, makes it just a little bit easier to find files and to navigate. The plugin also adds a bunch of templates, so you can add SvelteKit files easily. So, for example, it adds a layout file and so on. The project is also available on GitHub. If anyone likes to contribute or add any feature. I know there's a similar thing in VS Code. So maybe I could give some ideas to guys working on the VS Code plugin to add some features that VS Code doesn't yet have. So that's it, I think. The plugin has a bunch of settings, so you can choose to modify tab titles or not, and modify the file icons and so on. So those are the available options. It's written in Kotlin, so if anyone wants to contribute, you'll have a good time, because Kotlin is just great to work with. That's it for my presentation.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. Very interesting.
Thank you.
Like, I think both projects are very interesting. One is like, despite the fact that I actually like to have the logs separated, because like I like the fact that like I can immediately recognize over the other. But I think the fact that you added the emojis before the logs really helps with that. And it's nice because like if you are looking at the console, you can also see the logs in the, like, you don't have to switch tabs, you don't have like, so it's pretty interesting.
And inspecting objects on Chrome DevTools is just much better than the server
Actually,
console.
right.
Yeah.
I didn't even actually realize that. That's very cool, because example, like I always struggle a bit to like to format my logs on the server
Yeah.
to actually be able to read them. At the point that actually I shared on Twitter before, just right before the stream, that I have a snippet in VS Code that basically allow me to write a file with my objects. Basically, like so, I have a snippet that write with Node with write file sync a file to the disk with the actual log, so that I can actually go back to it and look at it later and have a JSON file. So that's very interesting. I have to try out your plugin.
Yeah. Feel free.
And yeah, and the other one, like the plugin for I think it's IntelliJ, right?
Yeah.
It's
Web store.
the suite web store. Yeah. It's. I also want to ask you, like, why did you choose WebStorm over VS Code? I want to steer the war against IDEs.
Well, WebStorm just or a PHP Storm in my case just gives me all the solutions in one go, like
Yeah.
the Git integration, the FTP integration, the database, and everything, just everything.
Yeah, it's just a more complete IDE. Like, probably someone could argue it's actually an IDE because VS Code is not really
Yes.
an IDE. I guess it's more
Yeah,
so.
we could
Yeah,
have that argument. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
also a try and Z editor. If you probably tried it as well.
Yeah, I actually never tried yet. Also, because at the end of the day, I mean, maybe I'm spoiled because I have a MacBook Pro, so I never actually felt the the slowness of VS Code, except yesterday when it was frying my MacBook because of a huge rebase. But yeah, I have to look at that. Also, I don't think that has full support for Svelte kit yet, for Svelte yet. So yeah,
Uh,
I'm always a bit hesitant about switching from VS Code, but
They support the language server, so it's fine.
yeah,
I
yeah,
was
no, obviously,
yeah, I was working on a serious SvelteKit project. No problems.
yeah.
Yeah,
And by the way, I also like your second because I developed together with Antonio Svelte Lab. I don't know if you know about Svelte Lab, and we
yeah,
were actually trying to find a way to show the roots better because like I think that's I'm actually a huge fan of the routing structure of SvelteKit. I
yeah,
actually enjoy be able to do plus page dot svelte and see all my routes inside the thing. So maybe I'm just getting used to it, but I actually enjoy it. But I think your solution also is pretty cool because it kind of like it's a kind of a callback to pre 1.0 where you could actually do about dot svelte. So
yeah.
I guess if you were a fan of that, it brings you back. And I also like that it compact the file in a single, like as if it was a folder. And as Stalky is saying, there's now native support in VS Code for it. Also, like you can actually aggregate files and change the name of the tab, I guess, too. So yeah, it's also something that is worth exploring. But if instead you're using WebStorm, use Mohammed plugin because I think it's pretty cool. And also, it's written in Kotlin, right?
Yeah. Kotlin. Yeah.
So the whole ecosystem of WebStorm in Kotlin, or
Well, it's a mix. So it's a mix between Java and Kotlin. I prefer Kotlin because it's closer to TypeScript.
yeah, I think there are like almost every developer prefer Kotlin to Java.
Especially web
Okay,
development.
yeah. Thank you very much, Mohammed. Thank you
Thank you.
for showcasing those very fun plugins and very fun libraries. And thank you. See you later. See you on
See
Discord.
you. Bye. Ciao.
Okay, back to my big face, but for a while, because now we actually have a couple um, of small Q&A that I think it's nice to see. So let me move my screen back. One of the question was about uh, use effect. Like, I think this is actually something that people that are not yet used to runes and fine grained reactivity can really find interesting. Um, so let's say that we have a situation like this. I prepared this very, like, the question that did come up on Discord was this one. So let's say that you have something like this. You have a person in a state, and you have the name Paolo, last name Ricciuti. I don't know who this guy is, but and you want to do something when this person changes. So this, in this case, person is logged to the console. So if we refresh the page, we can actually see that this message could not be cloned because it's not in the DevTools. But if we go and see in the console, it's actually the proxy that it's the state basically. So uh, obviously, like, if you need to log, actually use inspect, which is better. So if we actually do dorsal inspect, we person, so we actually get the actual object, which is better. We also get this init that tells that it's the init. But like, let's say that you have to do something else. I don't know. Every time this person changes, you want to do something. You want to synchronize it with, I don't know, with some browser API that requires an effect. Uh, and by the way, whenever, like, one rule of thumb that I have is whenever I try to use effect, like I start to use effect, I always ask myself, is this the right call? Should I remove effect? And most of the time it is. Don't use effect if you can. But yeah, so let's say that you have this situation like this, and as you can see, we have a form, and we are binding the value of person.name and person.last name to this form. The question that come up on Discord was why I'm not getting log. So I'm changing stuff here, but I'm not getting the log inside my console. And the reason why you are not doing that is because we now have fine-grained reactivity. And fine-grained reactivity means that in this case, what's changing is person.name. Person is not changing at all. Person last name is changing, but person is not changing at all. So this effect only has a dependency literally on person. So that's something that you need to be aware of. And why this is important is because, like, let's say that I also have a button, for example, change person. And if I do change person, can I put it in? Yeah, I think it's nicer. Uh, if I have this button, if I do one click, and let's say that I switch from uh, Paolo Ricciuti, I want to do person is equal to a new object with name, which is equal to, let's say, Enrico, and the last name Sacchetti, right? So if we now click this and we clear the log, change person, you can see, I mean, everything explodes. I don't know why, but let's see. Let's try to refresh. If I do change person, I don't know why everything is exploding. I need to figure out this. I always find a bug on things, but the point is, um, do I have some bug introduced? I don't know. But by the way, um, if I do this, you can see that it gets logged again. And that's because in this case, it's actually person that is changing. So if we remove this, uh, if we log literally dot name, you can see that it starts with Paolo, and when we change it, it's actually changing. But let's say that you want everything, how can you do it? Well, the easiest solution, at least in my opinion, is to use $state dot snapshot. So if I do person, This will log the actual object, and if I change this, it's actually changing. It's actually showing me the whole object. And the reason why this works is because to read the object, to deproxify the whole object, state.snapshot is also reading every signal inside this object. And so by doing this, you are assigning, like you're creating a dependency on every. So if person changes, it will change. If last name changes, it will change. If name change, it will change. So this was a simple question that was asked on Discord. And by the way, join our Discord, svelte.dev/chat, because you can get answers like this answered immediately by our, like, I think there are generally there are like 3,000 people there, and so all of them are there to help you. So feel free to join. So this was an example. And by the way, if you're interested, there's also this very nice CSS that it's using subgrid to position this thing properly on the page. But let's switch to the other question. Um, oh, actually, yes. I think that's so. Just to, I just read from the chat. I don't know if I can alight by, but team is actually saying something that is very, very true, and it's the fact that the update, small update. Sorry, everyone. I was talking alone. I don't know from how much time, coding and sharing my screen. I don't know why, but can't. I can't get my Wi-Fi again. I just noticed that I did not have my Wi-Fi, and for some reason, despite having the hotspot, I'm not actually receiving the hotspot. So yeah, sorry everyone. If you want, I can show you the code, the code from my phone. I don't think it would work. So uh, just I will give you a bit like a small shout out. I'm happy that we were able to. I'm happy that we were able to have the showcase, and thank you everyone for joining. I think I can close this. Sorry, I promise you, I will, like next week. I will actually, uh, I will actually give you a full this week in Svelte episode. Thank you everyone. I hope that you learned something despite this weird episode, and see you.